Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to look at the applications of AI in telecom industry, and we will start with churn prediction. Churn prediction is about knowing which of your customers are going to leave the service provider. Customers leave the service provider for another service provider due to many reasons like dissatisfaction in the service provided or a better offer from competition. Organizations spend a lot of money and effort in acquiring customers. Such effort should not go down the drain. So all efforts must be made to retain customers. So if you learn about a scenario of customer leaving the network only after the customer has decided to leave the network, there is very little an organization can do. Knowing which of the customers are likely to leave the network, which is the service provider, is a wealth of information that can be used by the telecom industry, telecom companies, to prevent customers from leaving their network. Many organizations, many telecom companies track percentage of churn on a regular basis. They even have targets. They take a lot of efforts to bring it down. However, organizations should move from just tracking the percentage of churn to predicting churn. Customers don't leave the network all of a sudden. They exhibit different characteristics like a drop in revenue or stopping usage of particular services. All these clues can be captured by the artificial intelligence system so that churn can be predicted. This effort cannot be done using Excel spreadsheets or manually. It will be a half-hearted effort because artificial intelligence systems study the interaction effect of different variables or different characteristics that define churn. Such an exercise is best done using artificial intelligence technology. So once you know which customers are going to leave you, the telecom company in question can take necessary action, necessary proactive action to reduce churn, if not prevent churn, right? Because the aim is not a 0% churn. That's practically not possible. But you can significantly bring down churn and to that extent contribute to an increase in revenue. This is a wonderful area, okay, where AI can be applied. The next one is in the area of customer lifetime value. Customers get into a network, they start using different services and stay with the network for about say 10 years or 15 years or even longer, right? If customers are truly satisfied, they are going to stay with the network. They are not going to leave a particular network, for trivial reasons, right? There needs to be strong enough reasons for a customer to ditch a network and explore competition. So customer is going to stay with a service provider or a network, right? When I say network, I'm referring to the telecom service provider, for a long period of time. So the organization in question has the opportunity to create wealth, to create revenue over a period of time. What I'm essentially talking about is like a time value of money. So the money you spend to acquire a customer is not just for getting revenue in the first year or the second year. It's for a long haul, right? So if a customer is going to be with you for say 10 years or 15 years, there is so much money that you can get out of that particular customer. Now where AI comes is, can you predict how much revenue you can generate from a particular customer, right? Of course, when you're predicting, it's not 100% accurate, right? So it's subject to a certain degree of error. But if you can predict the expected revenue from customers, with a fair degree of accuracy, that information can be used for multiple purposes, right? To introduce new products and more importantly, to segment customers, right? How many telecom companies today use CLV to segment customers? Maybe very few, right? So there's a wonderful opportunity to identify newer segments. Whenever you identify newer segments, it opens up new opportunities to generate revenue. Maybe you can introduce a new service, right, which you have not thought of before. A new customer segment almost always results in opportunity to generate significant revenue, right? That is the potential with customer segmentation. Segmenting customers based on CLV is a wonderful opportunity which every organization must do, right? And more so the telecom companies. And the best way to predict the future revenue from customers is obviously AI, right? So the next opportunity is in lead generation. Acquiring customers is a complex task, and the cost of acquisition is increasing day by day. Many times, leads could be generated, but they are not utilized optimally. So it's not just about lead generation, but also about end-to-end lead management. That is where AI can really help. A key aspect of lead generation is in successfully assessing the lead, whether it's a hot lead or a warm lead or a cold lead. Okay, and this assessment is typically done, subjectively. AI is now helping not just in core lead generation efforts, but also in assessing, the lead, whether it's a hot lead or a cold lead, and ensuring that the lead is managed comprehensively. You ask any salesman, the salesman will vouch for the fact that people spend a lot of time to generate leads, but spend very little time to manage leads. That is where AI can really help. Okay. The next opportunity is in the area of network planning. Planning itself is a complex activity that is typically done using Excel spreadsheets. Where AI is making a difference is in accurately assessing the seasonality and trend components of the historical data so that future projections are as accurate as they can be. An accurate assessment of future demand is essential to ensure a robust planning exercise. A poorly planned network infrastructure will definitely hit customer satisfaction and also cost. A poor customer satisfaction, a poorly planned network will also contribute to churn. So network is the very basis for a telecom company, right? Without the telecom towers at the right locations, it is always going to be a challenge in ensuring customer satisfaction and hence revenue. So use AI tools to the extent possible, because AI tools alone can ensure a very high forecast accuracy. The next one is in customer segmentation. I already talked about it while discussing customer lifetime value. There is a very interesting area of machine learning called unsupervised learning. That is, you can feed any data you have, customer data that you have, and it will throw out different customer segments that are there in the data set. This is a very useful tool and one that can help you to identify newer customer segments in a very short span of time. Newer segments invariably means new opportunities to introduce products and services, and thereby opportunities to create revenue, right? So use customer lifetime value and unsupervised learning. That unsupervised learning is a very specific terminology that I'm using, but one that can make a big difference to the way organizations segment customers, right? So the next one is in fraud detection. We call this as revenue assurance, and telecom. Fraud is there in every industry, and telecom is not immune from it. The extent of fraud is also significant for the telecom companies. Broadly speaking, there are three types of fraud in the telecom industry: fraud committed on customers, fraud committed on service providers, and then there is the general phone fraud. Let's look at the case of international revenue sharing fraud. Here, fraudsters will lease a premium phone number and make calls on it from a business's phone system which they have hacked into. The company in question has to bear very high call rates, part of which will go into fraudster's kitty through the revenue sharing mechanism. In interconnect bypass fraud, fraudsters will buy a SIM card of a local carrier and reroute the international calls using a SIM or a GSM gateway. This enables them to make long distance calls at a cheaper rate, which otherwise they could not have done. Then there is a fraud where customers use the services but don't pay. All of this can be tracked, monitored, and evaluated for fraud. AI-based algorithms, specifically anomaly detection algorithms, can track the usage patterns and flag the concern areas and eventually predict fraud. Okay, anomaly detection is a wonderful area that can be applied in fraud detection to predict what are known as outliers and hence potential fraud. I'm not saying they are 100% fraud, but using AI-based anomaly detection techniques, you can identify potential areas of interest, right? Potentially fraudulent customers. Your revenue assurance team can then go and investigate such cases and determine whether they are indeed cases of fraud or it is something else. Okay, and the feedback from this can be fed back to the AI system, so that AI system improves itself in identifying anomalies better. A fraud that is prevented has huge implications, right? Revenue implications, because once a fraud has been committed, it is very difficult to recover money, because the onus of proving fraud is not on the fraudster but on the organization on whom the fraud has been perpetrated. So please keep this in mind. Okay, last but not the least is net promoter system, or NPS. NPS helps us to understand what percentage of customers will refer a company's products and services to their friends and family. So NPS is actually a measure of loyalty, and loyalty in turn affects both customer satisfaction as well as revenue. We want more loyal customers. We want more promoters. We don't want detractors, right? That is, customers who are going to badmouth about the organization. Measuring NPS is one thing, but using NPS is a totally different thing. It is in using NPS that AI can really help. Once you have the NPS results, AI can be used to understand what are the factors that are driving NPS. AI can be very helpful in zeroing in on those particular factors at a very micro level so that you can take targeted action. NPS will undergo a change, every month when you measure it. But you must know why something is going up and it's going down. That is where AI can help. AI can track those changes at a granular level and help you to zero in on those specific factors that are driving NPS. So you can take targeted action, right? When you analyze using Excel-based tools, such a possibility is very, very limited, because AI considers factors not just in isolation, but also its interactive effects. Okay, it's an interactive effects that AI really scores over. So this aspect of interactive effects of different factors is not just useful in NPS, but in churn prediction, customer lifetime value, and every area where AI can be used. In fact, this interaction effect is the key differentiating factor between an Excel-based tool and an AI-based tool. So use AI to truly understand the drivers of NPS so that the organization can take targeted action. So the opportunity to apply AI is immense in the telecom industry.